There have only ever been two Australian astronauts. Both were men and both had to become US citizens to realise their dreams. Now, Catherine Bennell-Pegg is just months away from finding out if she'll become the first astronaut to fly into space as an Australian. She's a mum of two and an Aussie trailblazer in training to fulfil her dream. Well, Catherine, it's lovely to speak to you, and here you are training to be a real-life astronaut.
It's very exciting and such an honour to be here training at the European Astronaut Centre, the first person to train under the Australian flag. So yeah, I'm loving every moment.
And I love that you've got the Australian flag there on your shoulder, wearing it very proudly.
Absolutely. It was a special moment when I got this flight suit with the Australian flag patch on the shoulder, not just for me, but for what it means for people back home. When I grew up, I really wanted to be an Australian astronaut.
She grew up on Sydney's northern beaches, one eye on the ocean, the other on the stars.
The sky was bright with stars when I grew up, and I love looking up at them. With my telescope, I could see, the Andromeda galaxy some days, which has, more than 1 million different stars in it. And when you learn that as a kid, it just blows your mind. And I said to the careers counsellor at school, I just want to be an astronaut and nothing else. And how would I do that? You can be a pilot, you can be a scientist, you can be an engineer, and all of those sounded wonderful to me. And so I tried them out. I did some aerobatic flying lessons. I did my Year 10 work experience with Cyro at the Parkes telescope right after the dish came out at the movie theatres.
And went on to become a space engineer with the European Space Agency.
And I spent over a decade internationally studying and working across more than 6 countries and had an absolute ball. I worked on the most exciting space missions. I got to work on Earth observation missions to help monitor our planet, on Martian hopper missions, on the vehicle that's taking humans back around the moon.
Then the opportunity of a lifetime came into Catherine's orbit. And when the application process opened up, it was the first time in 13 years, so it was a pretty rare opportunity to even apply.
Absolutely. So to apply to be an astronaut, you might get 1 or 2 opportunities in your career or none. It very much depends on what country you're from and what you're eligible to apply for. I have a British passport through my mother, which meant I was eligible to apply to the European Space Agency's astronaut call as a British citizen. Australians were unfortunately not eligible to apply.
From 22,000 applicants and through a series of tests, Catherine's name kept being called.
I managed to make it to the last 25, which is the final round of people that passed. This is the moment where they're going to tell you you're going to be an astronaut and your life's going to change, or you go back to your day job. And at that point, I actually got the no. And some months later, I got a call into my boss's office saying, don't get too excited, but it looks like you might be going to Europe to represent Australia. Based on your performance, Europe and Australia have agreed to train you as an Australian astronaut candidate,
Wow.
Which is like mind-blowing. It's the best outcome I could have ever hoped for.
I've seen the video of you training, and you're halfway through the training process so far, doing all sorts of things. Tell us about the training process. What's it been like? Really tough, I'd imagine.
Because the role of an astronaut has changed over time, we have to learn many, many different things. An astronaut today is a scientist. They are an engineer, they are a medical doctor, they are a teacher, you're a technician or a tradie up there too, and you're a diplomat to represent your nation on the world stage. So we do a lot of science, we're in labs a lot. Biology, for example, is a huge one, material science, chemistry, astronomy, all of these are different sciences you can do on the space station.
I was going to ask why the scuba activity, because you do a lot of the scuba training when you're in space, not in water.
We learn how to do spacewalks underwater because it's the best way to replicate being in microgravity for a long time on Earth. And that's important when you do spacewalks, or EVAs as they're called, to move around the station. You need to know what's out there, how to repair the different equipment, how to work with your buddy, how to be tethered to the station so you can operate safely and not drop yourself or anything else.
You're really putting your body to extremes here.
because in space, your body degrades. On fast forward, you lose muscle mass, you lose bone density. It's one reason that astronauts are effectively medical guinea pigs for a lot of medical research on Earth. But, it's not just fitness, we also do survival. So we've done ocean survival, firefighting, rescue. In 2 weeks, we've got winter survival, which I'm a bit nervous about. I don't love the cold being from Australia, but I look forward to it anyway.
It's grueling, rewarding and inspiring, showing the way for all young Aussies, her 2 young daughters included.
Absolutely. They've been here in this training hall. They call it the astronauts playground. My daughter loves dressing up as an astronaut, often with a tutu over the top. But, it's not a barrier in her mind that that's something she could do. Actually, when I was selected to come here and train, I got an email from a friend I hadn't seen in a long time who said that she had a 4-year-old daughter that refused to wear an astronaut costume because she thought, astronauts are a boy thing, which is kind of shocking. But she also let me know that she was able to show the photos of me and my 2 other classmates that are women to her daughter, and then her daughter put the costume on. So small moments like that are really touching and a reminder that this isn't normal for everyone. And I'm determined to use this to help inspire the next generation too.
So what's your message finally to young kids gazing at the stars thinking, I'd like to be an astronaut one day?
I would say dream big, dream audaciously, dream precociously, dream arrogantly, but know you need to put in the work to do it. And if you do, anything is possible, and if you want to be an astronaut, go beyond just wanting to be an astronaut. Kids today will still be in the workforce 50 years from now. 50 years ago, humans were on the moon, right? Who could imagine the world we had today? So 50 years from now, to extend that out, kids can't possibly imagine all the opportunities that they'll face.
For now, Catherine faces 2 more months of training and then finds out if she'll really go into space.
Ultimately, the journey to a flight for any astronaut is often a long one. Even if I'm picked for a long duration mission, it's often 2 years before that flight. There are shorter flights available at shorter lead times as well, but ultimately, should I fly is a decision for Australia to take when the time is right. And I hope that if I don't fly, I can support the next person that does.
And Catherine, if you do make it up to the International Space Station, what's the tiny piece of Australia that you'll take with you? Will you have a little fluffy kangaroo or koala in your back pocket?
Definitely, I think Vegemite needs to be on the space station.
Yes.
Apparently you crave salty foods. I'll take hopefully something to acknowledge First Nations Australians and their history of astronomy as potentially the world's oldest astronomers. I think that's really important to reflect on that they have for tens of thousands of years looked up at the sky, and now we can look down at the Earth from the sky, and there's quite a beautiful symmetry there.
Well, good luck with the training. You're flying the flag very proudly on your shoulder, and we're all behind you. Lovely to speak to you.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
She's such an inspiration, and we wish Catherine all the very best, and hopefully we will see her in that spacesuit and in orbit soon.